Merry Christmas, y'all. We made it. Christmas Eve day. It's 8:20 in the morning on December 24th. How you doing? All right, we're going to start out with the White Christmas. Here's where we should see a White Christmas. Tomorrow at noon is what... No, actually, I put this in the evening. So this is tomorrow night. So during the day tomorrow, definition of a White Christmas is an inch or more of snow on the ground. And here's where I think we'll see that, according to the GFS ensemble. Most of North Dakota, pretty much Minnesota, Wisconsin, most of Michigan, the northern part of Pennsylvania, most of New York State, parts of Massachusetts, Rhode Island, most, looks like all of Vermont, most of New Hampshire, most of Maine, and then the mountains out west. So Merry Christmas, whether it's a White Christmas or not. It's going to be great. All right, 24-hour temperature change this morning. It is much warmer than it was yesterday morning in the Northeast, which is good because they were below zero. A lot of places up there, and it's cooler this morning than it was yesterday morning here in the Midwest and through the plains down into the Four Corners. A weak cold front has moved through, so we're in the 20s this morning. Nebraska, Iowa, northern Kansas, and teens up into the northern plains, upper Midwest. Still hanging on to teens and 20s for the Northeast, so even though it's that much warmer, it's still cold. And that cold air hanging in there for Alabama and northern Georgia this morning. And of course, it's cold in the Rockies. Mid-40s, Lubbock, and also Eugene, Oregon. And also Tucson. All right, hazards today. We got some fog up there in the Dakotas, Minnesota, Nebraska, down in Florida, a little bit of the Texas Panhandle, a little bit of Idaho too. Should be snowing today, parts of New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. Winter weather advisories there mostly, a couple of winter storm warnings. And for the West Coast, we have winter storm watches for the Cascades of Oregon and Washington, the Olympic Mountains too. We have coastal flood warning for Northern California. We have winter weather advisories for the mountains of California with flood watches near there. Also winter storm warning parts of the mountains of California and a flash flood warning up there. And then we have some wind issues too with wind advisories, high wind watches, high wind warnings all across the Northwest through all the way into Southern California. Nevada, winter weather advisories for you as well. Severe weather today. Yeah, it could happen down in Texas from Dallas through Waco, Austin, down to San Antonio, over to Corpus Christi and Houston, right to the Louisiana border. This is our marginal risk. And then Thursday, it's even a bigger risk in much of the same areas. We'll throw Shreveport, Louisiana in there as well for the slight risk. And then the marginal risk, pretty much the same places as today, into Arkansas and Louisiana. So we'll be watching for that. And as in math, we're going to show our work too for the White Christmas and for the severe weather. Here's your 48-hour precipitation ending the day after Christmas, Thursday morning at 7 a.m. And with that severe weather comes thunderstorms and heavy rainfall possible, up to 2 inches of rain for parts of East Texas in the next 2 days. Oregon coast, same kind of thing. We got a big storm moving in. We could see 2 inches or more of rain on the Oregon coast, a little bit less for the Northern California coast, but still a lot. And in the mountains, a lot of that's going to fall as snow. For the Cascades of Washington, couple feet of snow, why not? Oregon too, although a narrower band, so I think the snow levels will be a bit higher. And the Sierra Nevada also 1.5 feet or so of snow, and then lighter amounts as you get inland in the Pacific Northwest. That smiley face in Idaho is a little bit gray. So, did they forget to brush? No, maybe a dusting of snow, even for valley locations. We'll see. Best chance for that would be probably day after Christmas, but it's possible. All right, let's go for the surface today. We have that storm moving into the Pacific Northwest, rain all the way down into Southern California possible. Some showers and thunderstorms mixed in with your rain, Central California into Southern Oregon. Rain and snow inland, heavy snow, Sierra Nevada and eastern Oregon. Meanwhile, on the East Coast, some ice possible. West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Washington, D.C., Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey. Snow further north up there in New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine. And there's your warm front in eastern Texas and Louisiana, the cold front coming in behind it, that sector in there, that warm, moist air, just juicy, ripe for severe weather possible. There's your weak cold front through the northern plains, central plains, and the Midwest, and that's why we're only highs in the 30s today after mid 40s yesterday. Was it upper 40s? It was warm yesterday. Anyway, surface for tomorrow. Pacific Northwest, pretty active, heavy snow, Cascades of Washington, Olympics 2, into Oregon. We see some heavy snow, rain or snow, four corners through the Rockies. And then we have our showers and thunderstorms for Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Oklahoma. Again, the severe weather is going to reappear Thursday, so taking a break tomorrow, but still some showers and storms. And Florida, too, some showers for the Sunshine State. There's your severe weather possible on Thursday, East Texas into Louisiana. Too early to tell, at least as far as the Storm Prediction Center. They don't go that far out for the tornado risk, but we'll keep you posted. Likely there will be a 2%, maybe even 5% risk for tornadoes here on Thursday. West stays active with heavy snow in the mountains, rain or snow, lower elevations, and rain into the Midwest all the way through northern Michigan, the UP of Michigan, into Canada. So this warm air is ridiculous. Thunderstorms across the southeast and Florida. Let's show our work on the GFS, shall we? Snowing this morning in New England, some rain in Oklahoma, and here's our big Pacific Northwest storm with heavy rain, Northern California, Southern Oregon, really through the Willamette Valley, and then that's snow for the Washington Cascades. As we go through the day today, storm moves inland in the northwest with rain and snow, depending on your elevation and location. We have thunderstorms in Arkansas, Oklahoma, and a few showers here in mid-Atlantic. Snow all the way down to the coast, Long Island, with some snow, light snow, by this afternoon. This is actually late this morning. And some snow lingering up there in Maine. This is noon Central Time with the rain in Arkansas, back into East Texas, a few showers or storms there, North Carolina, and rain and snow for the Pacific Northwest as we get into this afternoon. That rain in eastern Oregon moving into Idaho. Still raining here in Boise, but snow all around, and snow into Nevada, some rain in the lower elevations. And we move into tonight. This gets us to midnight tonight. Showers and thunderstorms, East Texas into Arkansas. This will be moving into Louisiana as well. Lighter snow further to the west as we get into Christmas Day. Some snow in the morning, 6 a.m. Central. So even Salt Lake City seeing some snowflakes as you're getting up too early to unwrap presents. Some snow into Idaho, Montana, Wyoming on the light side. So the heavy rain for Houston and East Texas Christmas morning. As we get to Christmas noon Central, some rain, Illinois into Missouri and Arkansas, some snow, Colorado, lingering into Utah, Wyoming, and northern New Mexico, getting a little bit of snow Christmas Day. This gets us into the afternoon and evening. And as we get to midnight, Christmas night, another storm for the Pacific Northwest. These lines of equal pressure, these isobaurs, very close together. So we're talking windy, heavy rain, heavy snow in the Cascades. All right, as we get into the day after Christmas, that snow spreading into Idaho. I think you have a shot at some snowflakes, if not accumulating snow. Boise, although I think your official forecast still calling for rain or snow in eastern Washington too. And as we get further into the 26th, we see that snow moving into Montana. It's on the lighter side now as it moves eastward, and things calming down for the Oregon and Washington coast. Things heating up Oklahoma into Arkansas and East Texas as we get into the day on Thursday. See a line of storms. Some could be severe here as we get into Thursday afternoon and evening. Light snow, Idaho, Montana, into eastern Oregon. Heavier as you get closer to the coast. That line of storms moving through Arkansas, Louisiana, even into Missouri. Another storm for the Pacific Northwest. Further south, so heavier rain closer to San Francisco this time as this next storm moves in. Meanwhile, rain moving into the Midwest as we get into early Friday with still a line of storms from Memphis down into Louisiana, moving into northern Mississippi. As you can, very active, lots going on. So another Pacific Northwest storm, heavy rain, heavy snow in the mountains. That moves inland. You see green in the Snake River Valley, the Treasure Valley, but blue all around with the snow. Heavy rain and wind, Willamette Valley into western Washington, heavy rain down to San Francisco. And this rain moving very far north for this time of year, raining in Wisconsin. Raining in Kentucky, which that's not that unusual, but when you get into Minnesota, raining in Ohio, maybe even a thunderstorm or two. And then meanwhile, some snow here in the Rockies and back towards the west with another weaker storm for the Pacific Northwest. This gets us into Friday night. Here's Friday night midnight. And then here is Saturday. As we go through Saturday, some rain for West Virginia on top of your snow. Little bit of light snow still back here in the west. Lighter rain and mountain snows for Washington, Oregon, Northern California. Then we get into Saturday night, some more significant showers from Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee, Mississippi, Louisiana, Arkansas. Rain and snow in the west. Some lingering rain for Iowa into Minnesota. Rain this time of year. All right, a little bit of snow there in Minnesota as we get into Sunday. This is midnight Saturday. But look at all these showers, heavy rain, thunderstorms possible. Mississippi, Tennessee, Nashville, into Kentucky, Bowling Green maybe, here into Ohio, and all the way into southern Michigan with very warm temperatures and that rain spreading eastward. Snow in the west as it's getting colder in the west, and some of that colder air is going to start sinking further south as we get into next week. So this is the 30th at noon Central Time. A little bit of snow here in South Dakota into Nebraska, and rain out ahead of that low. So rain for, say, Omaha, western Iowa, where I live. This is getting us into New Year's Eve day. Rain changing to snow on the backside. And a little bit of snow perhaps getting in here into western Iowa before it's all said and done. This is midnight on the 30th. And then as we get into the 31st, then we have a little bit of light snow here for western Iowa. Rain for the Great Lakes trailing back into the southeast. And then the rain and snow lifts off to the north and east. So snow on the backside back here in Wisconsin to replace some of your melted snow. Cold air is starting to move south as we end December. January, as you know, is going to be much different. And it's going to get cold. And as I'm kind of zooming here, look how far south this snow is on the 2nd of January, perhaps down into the South Plains near Lubbock. For sure, nothing's for sure this far out, but a better chance for the Texas Panhandle. Then that low lifts northward. Snow into Kansas, into Missouri, heavy rain further to the south as we get into the 2nd, January 2nd. Missing me to the east, but heavy snow if this comes true for Missouri all the way up into Chicago, southern Michigan, heavy rain trailing behind that, and another Pacific Northwest storm with rain on the coast, snow inland. And as we see that low lifting northward, cold air spilling in behind by January 3rd, and it's going to get cold. Could see highs in the teens or even single digits here in Iowa by the time we get into the 6th or 7th. If this comes true on the 4th, could be snow for Tennessee and Kentucky with rain out ahead of it and a mess moving to the northeast. Cold air sinking into much of the country as we get into the 6th and 7th. And you see what could be a more significant snow and ice and rainstorm as we get further into the 8th and the 9th. So something to bear, worth watching, and we'll be watching it. That's what we do here as we get into January. But January looks to be really active and a lot more places getting snow that should have snow by now. All right, back to today. These are your highs today. 30s Iowa, but above freezing, below freezing up into Minnesota, Wisconsin, and parts of the Dakotas. Warm further south, and wait till you see how warm it's going to get in Texas, but 70s for East Texas into the southeast, still hanging on to some 50s and 60s. Georgia, we have upper 70s for the desert southwest. Then as we get into the lows tomorrow morning, yeah, it's cold Christmas morning. So 20s getting all the way down into New Mexico and near 20 central Nevada. So cold temperatures in the northwest, cold in the northeast to start the day. Mid-Atlantic around freezing for most places. The warmest will be East Texas along the Gulf Coast and down in Florida. But even Tucson, a low of 44 to start the day, Christmas Day, and recovering not as warm as it's been for the desert southwest. 60s hanging in there for highs on Christmas for most of Texas, but 70s when you get down to San Antonio over to Houston and along the Louisiana Gulf Coast and over to Florida. 60s and a few 50s for the southeast. Near 40 here in Iowa, maybe upper 30s for Christmas Day. 20s only up there in the northeast and only for the mountains of the west. Thursday, day after Christmas, starting to warm up. In Texas, it's going to get quite warm, but chilly for the desert southwest. Highs in the 60s, Tucson and Phoenix could be. As we get into Friday, more warmth for Texas. Lots of 70s here, spreading into Louisiana, Mississippi, 64 Memphis. So pretty mild for this time of year. Very warm in Florida. Saturday, upper 70s, San Antonio. A little bit warmer in the desert southwest. That warmth spreading into the plains in the Midwest with 50s returning to southern Iowa and certainly Kansas. Then we get into Sunday and we're seeing 70s to near 80 for Texas. The South, lots of 70s here and a couple 80s down there in Florida, warming up in the desert Southwest as well. Monday, we're starting to see the cold return in the northern plains. On the last day, December 31st is the last day of the year. So the day before the last day of the year, getting colder in the north, but there's 81 for, San Antonio, 81 for, I think that's Waco. So it's going to be very hot Monday down in Texas. 8 to 14 day temperatures. Starting to see a change. Some below average temperatures for the entire period averaged out for the southeast and the northern plains. Much above, or the best chance of above average temperatures, northeast and southwest. Precipitation, we're getting a really good chance of above average precipitation for places that need it, like Wyoming and parts of Nebraska into Kansas, even down into West Texas. And remember, with the colder than average temperatures or near average temperatures, you throw in that much precipitation for, say, Wyoming, your chance of snow going up. And I know you've been waiting for that. All right, just for fun, who's going to see a white New Year's? So according to the Canadian, Iowa, much of Iowa, white New Year's Day with that storm that may move across the plains New Year's Eve day. And so more places filling in with snow by the time we get to the 1st. The GFS has even more snow further south, perhaps as far south as Lubbock, Texas. It's kind of the outlier, though. When we get back to the European, that all goes away, and most of the snow, even in Iowa, goes away. So still kind of up in the air, obviously. Here's the Canadian, here's the GFS, here's the European for snow on the ground for New Year's Day. We'll track it for you, and we'll keep you posted. Merry Christmas. And yes, I will be here Christmas morning to update you again. And I don't know, you can call me if you have a barometer and you want to know the barometric pressure. Maybe I'll show you how to look that up. That's always good. That happened to me one Christmas back before there was the internet. So you have a great Christmas Eve, and we'll see you here Christmas morning. Thanks for tuning in. The Weather Mike.